You defend yourself because you believe innocence speaks for itself. You believe that if people truly understood your intentions, the truth would save you. This belief feels moral. It feels intelligent. It feels human. But it is also the fastest way to lose power, because the moment you defend yourself, you have already accepted a position beneath the one attacking you. You have already agreed that they have the authority to judge you. And the most dangerous thing you can ever do in a world built on perception is to ask permission to be seen as innocent. You think defending yourself makes you look strong. It does the opposite. It exposes you. It shrinks you. It turns you from a force into a reaction. And reactions never win wars. They only reveal weakness. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. Every society runs on an invisible hierarchy, not written, not announced, but felt. You feel it when you walk into a room and instantly know who matters. You feel it when someone speaks and others fall silent. Power is not logic. Power is gravity. And gravity does not explain itself. It simply pulls. The moment you begin explaining yourself, justifying yourself, defending yourself, you are announcing to the room that your gravity is weak, that your position is negotiable, that your presence requires approval. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Not as a moralist, not as a philosopher of good and evil, but as a surgeon of reality. He observed that people do not respond to truth. They respond to confidence. They do not follow innocence. They follow certainty, and certainty never argues. It stands still while others orbit it. In The Prince, Machiavelli never tells rulers to prove themselves righteous. He tells them to appear unshakable. Because the appearance of power creates power, while the defense of virtue invites attack. Think carefully about this. The person accusing you does not want clarity. They want leverage. When you defend yourself, you hand it to them. You confirm that their words affected you, that they penetrated your frame, that they pulled you into their reality. And once you step into their frame, you are no longer leading. You are following. But there is a darker layer beneath this. People subconsciously attack those they sense can be moved. They test boundaries the way predators test fences. Not because they are evil, but because humans are wired to probe strength. The moment you defend yourself emotionally, urgently, repeatedly, you reveal that the fence is electric only on the surface. And once that signal is sent, the attacks don't stop. They escalate. Look at history. The most powerful figures were not the most articulate defenders of themselves. They were silent. Caesar did not debate his enemies in public. He crossed rivers. Marcus Aurelius did not justify himself to the mob. He wrote to himself and ruled anyway. Even Socrates, who spoke endlessly, never defended himself emotionally. He accepted death without pleading because he understood that pleading would cost him something far greater than his life, his authority. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. Defending yourself is addictive. It feels productive. It feels like action. It feels like control. But it is the illusion of control. When you defend yourself, you are not changing minds. You are feeding narratives. You are prolonging conflict. You are keeping yourself trapped in a loop where your identity is constantly being negotiated by others. This is why the most insecure people are often the most defensive. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack inner sovereignty. Stoicism understood this long before psychology named it. Epictetus warned that if someone insults you and you feel compelled to respond, you have already surrendered your freedom, because now your emotional state depends on someone else's opinion. True power begins the moment external judgment loses its grip on your nervous system. Silence, when chosen consciously, is not weakness. It is insulation, but silence alone is not the trick. Silence without presence is invisibility. Machiavelli's real insight was not, say nothing. It was, say nothing while standing firmly. This is the difference between being ignored and being feared. One is absence, the other is tension. When you do not defend yourself, people fill the silence with their own projections. Some will assume guilt. Others will assume superiority. But a few, those who understand power, will feel something unsettling. They will sense that you are not playing the same game. And here is where the power flips. When you refuse to defend yourself, you force the accuser to overextend. They must escalate to provoke a reaction. They must repeat themselves. They must become louder, harsher, more emotional. And in doing so, they reveal their own insecurity. The audience, silently watching, begins to shift. Not because you convinced them, but because the aggressor exposed themselves. Power does not need witnesses to speak. It needs patience, but there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. Most people defend themselves, not because they are accused, but because they are afraid of being misunderstood. This fear runs deep. It is the fear of social death, the fear of exclusion, the fear that if you do not correct the story will become you. But this fear misunderstands how narratives work. Stories do not belong to those who explain them. They belong to those who embody something larger than them. Think about the people you respect most. Do you know their explanations? Or do you know their presence? You remember how they moved, how they spoke, how they didn't rush. You don't remember their defenses, because defenses are forgettable. Power is not. Machiavelli would say this plainly: reputation is shaped by outcomes, not arguments. If your life, your work, your discipline contradicts the accusation collapses on its own. But if you rush to destroy it verbally, you give it artificial life. You inflate it. You legitimize it. You turn a whisper into a headline. This is why the phrase, "never complain, never explain," survived centuries of power circles. Not because explanations are false, but because they are expensive. They cost time. They cost emotional energy. They cost authority. And power is conservation. You do not spend it on every provocation. You invest it where it multiplies. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. When you defend yourself, you are also defending an identity. And identities are cages. The moment you say, "I am not that," you have allowed someone else to define the boundary of who you are. You are now playing inside their conceptual prison. True power comes from being undefined, from being unpredictable, from being so internally grounded that labels slide off you without friction. This is why mystics confused kings Why disciplined men confuse manipulators. Why calm unnerves chaos. You cannot control what people say about you. But you can control whether it enters your bloodstream. And when it doesn't, something strange happens. You begin to move differently, slower, cleaner, more intentional, and people feel it. Now understand this clearly. Never defending yourself does not mean tolerating abuse. It does not mean accepting injustice. It means choosing the battlefield. It means responding with action instead of reaction. It means letting your silence be backed by strength, not avoidance. There is a difference. A powerful man does not explain himself to strangers, but he also does not let weakness linger in his structure. Machiavelli's trick was not passivity. It was redirection. Instead of defending words, he advised shaping reality. Instead of correcting accusations, he advised making them irrelevant. And relevance is the real currency of power. If what you build, what you command, what you represent grows larger than the noise starves. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. The ultimate reason never to defend yourself is not strategic. It is psychological. Every time you defend yourself, you rehearse doubt, you reinforce the idea that maybe, just maybe, they are right. Even if you deny it verbally, your nervous system absorbs the conflict. Over time, this corrodes self-trust. You become fragmented, reactive, hyper-aware, and a man who cannot trust his own center is easily controlled. Silence, chosen consciously, heals this fracture. It recenters you. It teaches your mind that not every stimulus requires response, that you are not obligated to dance every time someone plays a tune. This is sovereignty. This is inner rule, and without it, no external power lasts. Look at modern life. Social media thrives on defense. Everyone explaining, everyone clarifying, everyone correcting, and notice how powerless it feels. Endless noise, endless justification, endless exposure. The people who win are not those who reply the fastest. They are the ones who move on while others argue about them. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. When you stop defending yourself, you force people to confront their own intentions. Are they seeking truth or control? Are they curious or predatory? Your silence acts like a mirror. Some will walk away, others will double down, and those who double down reveal themselves fully. This clarity is priceless. It tells you who to ignore, who to watch, and who to remove from your orbit entirely. Power is not domination, it is selectivity. Knowing where not to invest yourself, knowing when not to speak, knowing that your energy is finite and your presence is not free. Machiavelli understood that the ruler who reacts to every whisper is ruled by whispers. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, pause. Feel the discomfort. That discomfort is the withdrawal symptom of a habit you no longer need. Breathe. Stand still. Let the moment pass without feeding it, and watch what happens. Watch how the dynamic shifts. Watch how the other person either collapses into silence or exposes themselves further. This is not weakness. This is restraint, and restraint is strength under control. You defend yourself because you believe innocence must be proven, but innocence that requires defense is already on trial. Power never enters the courtroom. It builds the city outside, while others argue inside.